Hey guys, welcome back to Polygon Pawn, and today I'm going to be showing you my SEGA Superplay card collection, which was released by Panini in, I believe, 1993. This was sold in the UK as well as a couple other European countries. Just looking at the box right now, it seems to have, I want to say, German, French, Italian and possibly a couple other prices on there. It's the older currencies obviously, so forgive me that I can't remember 100%. So yeah, this collection is really cool. In fact, I'd say it was one of my favourite things that I own, and I might just jump right into showing you because I think you guys will appreciate this, especially if you're SEGA fans. So yeah, like I say, this was released by Panini in 1993, and this is also actually the official album that you could get if you mailed off to them at the time. And I absolutely love this because I want to say I've only seen this in a couple of people's collections, and to be honest, if you were a UK kid in like what, 1993, quite a lot of the time your parents were just going to sort of go, meh, and the lights end off or something like this. So I don't imagine many of these sort of still are floating around, to be honest. Let's just get to the inside of it, which is the exciting part. So I'm going to skip the index cards for now, just because it sort of gives you an idea of everything you can get in the set, and I believe these were just sort of designed so you could kind of check things off as you got them. So yeah, I'm going to avoid this for now just because it'll spoil some of the other cool things that are inside. First game is not what you would sort of expect to be the first one. There is Desert Strike, which is an okay game to be fair, but I think it's one of those games where sort of don't really think it when I think of the Mega Drive, and these are all Mega Drive games that are in here as well. Next game is, I can never pronounce this very well, even though it is one of my favourite games. It is Gaianog. Yeah, I'm so bad at pronouncing certain things, but yeah, it was a really cool shmup on the Mega Drive, and I'm quite glad that it managed to make it into this collection. And the way this album was designed as well, all the cards sort of had a short description of the games on the back, and sort of gave you a couple of facts, ratings, which I think must have been taken from a couple of magazines at the time. And I did like the fact that the album was actually designed in a way where you could still see the backs when you'd actually put these inside. I'm not going to list like every card that's in here because I'm sure you guys can sort of recognise the titles. Might just comment on a couple of my favourites that I'm really glad did make it into card form, like Thunder Force 2, that's a good game. This page is a couple of my favourite games. Love Castle Illusion. I think most people would agree that it's one of the best Disney games on the Mega Drive. Although World Illusion is a slightly more nostalgic game for me just because I played it so much more. And looking back on it, like, playing it now is so much easier, except if you're playing on 2-player and get to that awful door level. If you've played it, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But this game I played a lot at the time. Mostly because my gran also really enjoyed it, and we often played it on 2-player, and they're really cool, like, co-op. I don't want to say campaign, that doesn't sound right for that sort of game, but yeah, I suppose, yeah, really cool co-op campaign. And it actually varied depending on whether you played as Mickey, Donald, or both, which I thought was really cool, and I think it was one of the sort of games that I actually saw doing something like that. Probably not the first, but it was definitely one of the first I played like that, and yeah, that was always something that made me love this game so much, and it just looked amazing. Like, looked like you were playing a Disney cartoon, and it's one of the most amazing soundtracks in the Mega Drive. And if you haven't heard the soundtrack, please just go and listen right now to the credits because it's gorgeous. Little Mermaid is a game that's interesting for me. I got this when I was quite young, and I find it ironic that it's sort of just floating above Echo the Dolphin here because it always reminded me so much of Echo. Nowhere near as difficult as Echo because, well, if you've played Echo you know that it can be an absolute pain in the butt when you get to the later levels. In fact, even before you get to the later levels. But yeah, Little Mermaid was a more don't want to say child-friendly Echo, but wasn't quite as difficult as Echo, let's put it that way. Decap Attack was a game that I was slightly disappointed by when I actually played it, and it was probably because of the reason that I actually purchased the game in the first place. I never had this when I was a kid, and it was actually one of my first eBay purchases, and I bought it because I loved the Sonic the comic strip. And I didn't realise at that point that the strip, other than using the characters, basically has nothing to do with the game at all. Again, talking on Disney games earlier, while I love both Castle and World of Illusion, I think that Quackshot is actually my favourite Disney game in the Mega Drive if I had to pick. Quackshot was basically Donald Duck meets Indiana Jones, and it's a really solid platformer, and I think it was always like just the right balance of everything, to be honest, where it was levels were a decent length, it was difficult without being too frustrating at points, and it was really nicely animated as well. Plus, as a kid, I was a big fan of DuckTales, so I suppose that's why I probably lean more towards a Donald game than Mickey, even though he didn't actually appear in the original DuckTales that much, but Kid Chameleon was another one of those games that I actually got because of the Fleetway Sonic comics, and again, the game wasn't really that much like the strip, but I really enjoyed it. Like, it's not an amazing game, but it's decent. And Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. That is actually, if you haven't played it, it's actually a really good game. And I do love sort of looking back at it now, just how many SEGA games Michael Jackson either did star or appear in. Because obviously we did later get Space Michael in Space Channel 5, and that was fun. So yeah, obviously when this came out, Sonic 1 and 2 were the only Sonic games that were released, because I want to say this was quite an early 1993 release, this album, and yeah, that was probably the main reason I started collecting in the first place, because while I did like my other SEGA games, I was a Sonic fan first and foremost, and I suppose I still am to an extent, but I've definitely learned to appreciate my other SEGA stuff since then. I do also like the fact that we've also got James Pond 2, codename Robocod, on this page, because that's a game that always takes me back, even though I didn't actually play much of it when I was a kid. And it's because there's a little story behind that. I actually did borrow it from a kid in my class at the time, and I let him borrow my copy of Bart versus the Space Mutants, which I'd actually gotten from my cousin not too long before that. And I left that school not too long after, returned his game, and he never did give me back my copy of Bart versus the Space Mutants. And I would bring this up so many times over the years and was like, oh god, you remember when that kid didn't return my game? I was really enjoying that, and I'm so sad that I don't have it anymore. And I'm sure my mum definitely commented at the time and said, are you sure that your cousin didn't just lend you that game and you gave her it back at some point? I kept thinking, no, I'm sure she actually gave me it. And it was actually just a couple of years back, and obviously by this point we're going on, like, god, a good 20 odd years. And my mum actually did bump into his mother, and they were having a chat and sort of talking about old times, and apparently his mum, my mum actually did say, oh god, Laurie thought for years that your son had kept her copy of Bart versus the Space Mutants, and apparently his mum did confirm that, oh yeah, we came across that a couple of years ago, I think it ended up getting sold at a boot sale or something. And I was so annoyed. I was like, god, yeah, I told everybody this for years and nobody believed me, but there you go. And Robocod, I couldn't actually remember the name of the game for years, because like I say, I'd just borrowed it very briefly and I'd been enjoying it. But I could never remember what it was actually called, so it was quite a while before I managed to track that down again and get a copy for my collection. And what was actually odd about it was I did get it in a huge bundle of games and just didn't even recognise it until I actually popped it in and heard the music. Another few awesome games on this page. Spider-Man versus the Kingpin is what actually got me into Spider-Man in the first place, because I wasn't really familiar at all with Spider-Man until I played that. Tasmania it's one of those games that I want to say that a lot of people don't rate too highly, but it's a bit slow and clunky going back to it. But I had so much fun and played that for ages when I was a kid. Well, the minecart level can just go die. We all know Toe Jam and Earl, and I think we all know Wonder Boy. Actually, a couple of games in this page that I'm not that familiar with. Can't say I've really played Buck Rogers or Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade on Mega Drive. Shadow of the Beast is always was a good choice. Strider was cool. Oddly, I feel like a lot of the games in this page I actually ended up playing in compilations like years after they were actually released. I know I played Double Dragon on something else. Alien Storm and E-SWAT were definitely in some of those plug and play controllers. I always did love about Afterburner. Flicky was one of those games that I never actually picked up until I started like really seriously collecting Mega Drive games, and I did get it because of obviously the Sonic reference, but I like it. I did used to like as well the fact that every time I played this game, my budgie would always tweet along to the bird sound effects in the game and respond to them, which was quite funny sometimes. I don't know why, but for some reason, and I notice it a lot on these cards especially, like I always really loved the cover art to both of the Golden, well, yeah, first two Golden Axe games were definitely the coolest artwork, but yeah, I think these cards sort of really show just how nice some of the art was on the Mega Drive boxes, especially some of the earlier games. Played this so much when I was a kid just because of the fact it came in the Mega Games compilation that I'm sure everybody had, and I think Super Hang-On was the only thing that I really played on it because I wasn't really a massive football fan, and I liked World Cup Italia, but yeah, usually I wouldn't play a football game if I had a choice of something else, and columns used to annoy me so much, not because the game itself was frustrating, even though it did get a bit yeah, later on. But the problem that I had with it was the fact that both my mum and gran loved columns. And to me, for years, columns was just basically the game that stopped me from playing my Mega Drive when they really got into it, especially if they started playing two-player mode. And quite often my gran would actually stay up and do like all-nighters just to play columns, which is a bit concerning looking back. Ghouls and Ghosts, another game that's frustrating but for different reasons. I remember this did get quite brutal, but absolutely loved it. And Toki is another one of those games that I want to say that I got from my cousin, and I played it a lot, but I don't know, I want to say that I did finish it at one point, but I seem to remember that some of the stages got a bit, I seem to remember there was a submarine level that really annoyed me at the time. Again, this page has got some really classic Sega games. Love Streets of Rage 2. I'm quite a big fan of pretty much everything on this page. I think that Chakan, is it Chakan, the Forever Man, was one of the only ones that I never actually played on the original system. I still don't know if I've actually got round to picking up a copy of that. I did play it on one of those AT Games plug and play consoles. And it was the really naff one that was like a Wii style thing with motion control games built in along with the Sega stuff, and I think that was the only thing that really made it worthwhile, just the fact it introduced me to Chakan. Oh yeah, and just been talking about it, there is Columns. I do enjoy Columns a bit more now, to be honest, and that's quite a nostalgic game, even if it's not always good nostalgia, because it meant I didn't get to play my Mega Drive. Not really as familiar with most of the games in this page, other than Turbo Outrun, because Outrun is awesome, and even though as a kid I always was leaning more towards Super Hang-On just because it was what I played more. I do love Outrun, and I think it's just got like some of the most amazing music out of any game I've ever played. You've always got to love about Yu Suzuki. Road Rash is a game that I loved a lot as a kid, but I didn't actually play the Mega Drive version that much. I believe I actually had it for 3DO, and it was one of the very few 3DO games that I actually owned and played a lot. But I think it basically ruined all the versions of Road Rash for me just because it was so much fun. And yeah, as we sort of get later into this album, you're going to start seeing this. The style of the cards do change a little because we start getting some of these scene cards, which actually do just show you a couple of scenes from the games that they're based on. It might be actually better doing it this way now. I feel like that was one of those levels that you did only get if you were playing 2-player in World Illusion, although correct me if I'm wrong on that because it has been quite a while. Oh yeah, that is the horrible level where there's like I want to say there's like a mine cart after the elevator section, and it just annoyed me so much when I played Tasmania. It's weird actually, even though I haven't played a lot of golf games, they always do bring up this strange nostalgia, and I think it's because I recognise a lot of them just because my uncle used to play them quite often, especially when he was at our place. And once you get to this page, it sort of flips back around to the other format, but now we do get a couple of character cards. I remember being so excited when I first pulled Sonic from one of these, and then I think I ended up with about 30 of this same card. Come to this page, does anybody actually recognise what that Tails artwork is from? Because I've been curious about it for quite a long time, and I'm not sure if I ever did figure out where it came from. I mean, it looks like it's obviously part of a bigger piece, but I'm not 100% sure where it originated from. And that is actually us at the end of this album. Like I said, character cards just have a couple of random facts and stuff in the back, and also some tips for the games. And I think the only other thing that I really have to show you, which unfortunately is a bit worse for wear at this point because obviously I didn't store it very well as a kid. This is actually the retail display box that these came in the first place, along with all my empty packets, which I kept because they just looked really cool on display, I thought. And I did, even though I haven't looked after the box well enough by the looks of things, I did open all of these very carefully just to make sure. I will apologise if you can suddenly hear a lot of noise in the background, but we've just gotten some torrential rain and hailstones and it's getting a bit stormy out there, so I might need to wrap this up in a second, depending how loud that decides to be. But yeah, it's on the actual retail box as well, which I did mention earlier, that you can sort of see the original prices. It sort of gives you an idea of which countries they were actually sold in. It's amazing to sort of look back in these and see that they were only 40p a pack in the UK, because I feel like you do pay a lot more than this for similar things now. Yeah, I really do wish that I'd managed to salvage this box a bit more, and I want to say I might have another one of them somewhere that's hopefully in better condition, but that is the only one that I can find at the moment. So yeah, that is the entire SEGA Superplay card collection. Don't know if any of you guys ever owned this. If you did, let me know in the comments and let me know what some of your favourite cards were and what you thought of this. And if you enjoyed the video, hopefully I will see you next time. Bye guys!